Good morning, everybody. It's Brett, your Thankful Carnivore. It's May 31st, a Sunday morning, and this is today's Thankful Carnivore Report. I so much appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble on about things related to the carnivore way of eating and other issues I find interesting. Please check me out and follow on across all my social media at thankful.carnivore on Instagram. On Twitter, we're the Meat Eating Savages, always running wild. It's Stickman Bleeding. That's STICKMAN BLEEDIN. Don't add a G. Facebook and YouTube, it's Thankful Carnivore. Please remember, you can get a 30-minute carnivore coaching session from meatrx.com for under $20. That's right, a 30-minute carnivore coaching session from meatrx.com. You can book me for under $20. Please check it out, my friends. I want to share, I'm doing this Sunday morning thing today for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's probably going to become a regular thing just due to scheduled changes and needs and real life requirements. And the other reason is I just couldn't wait to tell you this story and to share this with you all. And as the title suggests, my vegan personal trainer joined a new gym, as I mentioned a few days ago. And one of the rewards for signing up for the new membership at the level that we joined at is you get 2 one-hour personal trainer sessions. Now, I've never had a personal trainer in my life. And so I thought, why not? This kettlebell thing that I'm committed to, I have so much to learn. I'm very new at it. While the benefits of using kettlebells is phenomenal and very obvious, the risk of injury is also obvious. And, I want to learn the proper technique to prevent injury and to get the maximum gain for my effort. So I signed up, and yesterday I attended my very first 1-hour personal trainer session. And I'm going to call this individual Coach D to protect their privacy. Now, Coach D was a nice young man in his late 20s, early 30s. A little shorter than me, obviously has lifted a lot of weights in his life. Very stout young man. And we spent probably the first 20 to 30 minutes sitting in his office talking. And it was interesting because he was basically trying to gauge my level of interest, how motivated I was, what my goals were. And then he explained the process of being a personal, what a personal trainer does, and that he was going to, if I was interested in creating a program specifically so I could reach my goals. And it was interesting to this conversation. I got to hold this meter, this device, and I learned that I had 21%, I've got 21% body fat, 21.6, I believe, to be exact. And I mentioned that, I'd like to get that down to about 16. And this led him to talking about part of the program has a nutrition component. And I smiled and said, I have that covered pretty much. And it started explaining my experience and how I eat, why I eat the way I do. And toward the end of my little Reader's Digest thing, explanation of why I eat this way, he announced that he's a vegan. And then he explained that he doesn't eat that way for health. He eats that way for ethical reasons. Because, to quote, he didn't want to be responsible for killing animals. And I just said, well, I cannot deny the results, and I explained all the things that eating this way has done for me. You know, losing the depression, not having joint pain, no headaches since July of 2018, etc. You know, lost the anxiety after 40 years as well. And his eyes are getting kind of big, and he's looking shocked and surprised at times. And then he hits me with the World Health Organization and the risk of cancer, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen. Well, first I said when he announced he was a vegan, I said, well, your morning and my morning just got more interesting, I'm sure. Because I thought it was funny. I wasn't the least bit perturbed or disturbed. You know, what's on his plate is none of my business. We weren't there to talk about diet. We weren't there to have diet wars, you know. But he did try the cancer myth, FUD, and the World Health Organization. And I just said, wait a minute. I think the notion that meat causes cancer is a bunch of hooey. And then I explained my thoughts on experts, as I've talked about here on my channel and across my social media on numerous occasions, about the ways experts have lied to me and misled me. And I know from personal experience it was nonsense and BS. And I said, you know, I'm not changing what I'm doing because you can't argue with the results. So he wisely, and this is to Coach D's credit, he wisely moved on. And we talked a little more about what I was wanting from him, which was advice and tips on how to proceed with kettlebells. And he said, you know, let's get started. And I did a 10-minute warm up on the treadmill, which is not how I normally warm up, but it was okay. And at this point, I'm laughing to myself hysterically because this Coach D, very nice young man, very polite. He was extremely professional. I have nothing negative to say about this individual at all. What he chooses to eat is none of my business. But I could tell on numerous occasions while I was talking, explaining myself, which he patiently gave me the time to say what I wanted to say. You know, he was visibly disturbed, and he was trying to restrain himself. He was obviously putting forth effort to not to interrupt and to interject. But I tell you what was really impressive about this gentleman is that when we got into the room where the kettlebells were, he was all business. He was extremely professional. He was very helpful. He gave me some real tips and showed me some things that I needed to do differently. Some serious posture tips, which I appreciated immensely. And if you see pictures of me with me pushing my chest out, it's because I need to keep my shoulders back. So I've got to practice that. But I was very pleased with the information that he gave me with regards to kettlebells. And it's an interesting notion. He talked about the need to not create muscle memory, but to keep muscle confusion, which is a concept that I'm not proficient enough to describe. I don't want to misrepresent what he said by accident. But basically, I understood the concept, and I'm going to try to employ as much of that as I'm comfortable with, because I am a human being and I get locked into a routine. But one of the cool things about kettlebells is you can change things up on a dime, and so I don't think that's going to be an issue. But after the end of that part of my session, personal trainer session, we went back to the front desk, and he said, I think your attitude, you obviously are motivated. You're not seeking accountability, which I'm not. He said, and I know you won't do this, and you'd argue with me if we talk about it, but I think you should add veg and fruit back in. And I just told him, I said, why? Can you observe, do you see any observable deficiency? He said, well, I'm not a doctor, and I haven't seen your lab work. And I said, well, and then this was his last desperate attempt to assuade me with fear, uncertainty, and doubt. He said, all that bacon you eat, we don't pour bacon grease down into the pipes because it clogs them up. Can you imagine what that's doing to you? And I said, I didn't read him, I recited my lipid profile from the lab work I had done in November. And he just stopped saying anything for a second and said, you are an anomaly. And I didn't want to press the issue because I had things I needed to do. I just said, well, keep in mind, if it's possible for you to be thriving, eating the way you eat, why is it not possible for me to be thriving the way I eat? And we shook hands and went on our way. And I'll see him again in the future because I've got another free session. And I'll have more things I need to learn with regards to kettlebells. And on a final note to this story, which I think is great, next week, he gets to spend an hour with my beautiful carnivore wife. But I want to commend Coach D. Again, very professional, very polite, very friendly. No antagonism. I didn't pick up any antagonism from him whatsoever. He was sharp. He was spot on. He didn't seem offended. And, so I can say now I have met a real vegan in real life, and they were a pleasant person. So that's comforting because no vegan that I have met on social media has been pleasant at all. Not in any way. Just rude, rude, rude. So Coach D, my hat's off to you. My friends, be prepared. Don't be afraid if you meet somebody who eats differently than you do. Vegans are just people, and there's reasonable vegans and there's unreasonable vegans. Just like there's reasonable carnivores and unreasonable carnivores. Folks are good or bad on their own, mostly. Don't be afraid to engage. Don't be afraid to represent what works for you. My friends, take care of yourselves. Enjoy your day, this beautiful Sunday that's coming up. Eat your meat, drink your water. Do the things you know you need to do to take care of you. And I'll try to be back Tuesday morning. Take care.